this is Peak Entertainment, and we are back again, and here now we have another video review, and this will be a review of the series finale of Star Trek Discovery, which was titled Life Itself. Now there'll likely be spoilers throughout for this episode, so just beware when going into this overall video. Now just to briefly catch up on the previous episode, where we saw the Discovery crew encounter the Breen at the Lagrange point to attain the vital technology that they've been pursuing all throughout this season. The crew board the Breen's dreadnought ship under the guise of Breen soldiers, and after some conflicting encounters they managed to complete their mission, but as they're pursued, both Mole and Burnham enter a portal as the Discovery crew strives to retrieve her back. Now the finale picked up from this cliffhanger moment as we saw Mole and Burnham continue with their conflict. Mole was hoping that she could somehow revive Lark's body. As the Discovery crew comes under heavy threat from the Breen, Michael accesses the technology and then connects with the consciousness of the progenitor. After dealing with the Breen threat by the spore drive, Michael decides that nobody should be able to obtain the technology, and she ends up sending it into a black hole via the portals. Now whilst Discovery overall as a series has proven to be very divisive amongst fandom during its run, would this episode overall provide a satisfactory conclusion for its fans? Well, overall as a series finale, it felt pretty standard for a Discovery episode, and it kind of summed up what was very good and what was overall very flawed about the show. We had plenty of spectacle and flashing lights and explosions popping off all over the screen, lots of CGI, as what we've come to expect from a Discovery finale. The action was fast and frantic, with the pacing moving at a million miles an hour, and at many times it was a struggle to keep up with what was going on, even as the characters were talking about how they would go on to solve the crisis. And this is something that's always been a problem with Discovery in terms of its storytelling, and at many times it can leave you disengaged with the overall plot. And the episode itself didn't start out great, as we saw Michael in these overextended fight sequences, either with a Breen soldier in the rain or with Mole later on in the portal. We had all of this telegraphed choreography and short quick edits, lots of slow motion shots and superhero landings as we see Mole and Burnham fighting in this fire type of background. And it's just very mundane overall and not that particularly exciting. And as expected, Michael was the central focus of this entire episode. And I did think in the beginning that we were going to see some sort of tragic death or sacrifice that she would have to make in order to save the crew. We had all of these flashback and dream sequences where she met the progenitor, and I thought we were going to get a climax where perhaps she would end up being the new guardian or the new progenitor to safeguard the technology, and it would end up saving the crew, but it would mean that she would have to spend the rest of her days in a solitary existence. I did feel that they would go for some sort of massive emotional climax where we would see maybe one or two character deaths. For example, I felt we might see Colbert passing away, as for some strange reason he felt compelled to join Book on a dangerous mission to rescue Michael by joining him on the shuttle, despite how dangerous it was, but that wasn't to be. But as the crisis was resolved pretty in a straightforward manner, again it did feel more like a normal Discovery episode despite the extended runtime of around 60 minutes. And as usual, the supporting characters didn't get much focus, though it was good to see Saru back and involved as he essentially warned off the Primarch Tahal leader from the Breen and an oncoming fleet of large ships. Perhaps a bit unlikely given the situation. If the Breen had a massive armada, then I'm sure it would take much more than some sort of determined persuasion from Saru in order to stop them. But hey, they just needed Saru to be integral and make a meaningful initiative in terms of solving the overall conflict. And I've always maintained that Saru has been the best character of the series, and I think it's been quite disappointing of how much he's been marginalised, certainly within the last 2 seasons, where we've seen him take these long-term absences from the show, and when he's been involved, he's really been just saddled with this very uninteresting Vulcan romance. I just feel it's been an underutilisation of a character who I've always stated should have been the captain of the ship all the way through the series. And everything is tied up soundly as somehow the Discovery crew end up using the spore drive technology to somehow teleport the Breen ships away. Again, I was too far gone into really delving into the overall logistics of how this could happen and why they couldn't have done this a couple of episodes before, but there you go. This is very much the breakneck, quick fix storytelling that we end up being used to from Discovery. But all the characters end up making it safely. and unscathed. And I suppose we did get some nice little scenes where we see all of the crew together, happy, celebrating as we arrive towards Saru's wedding. I did feel it was a bit in bad taste that Michael couldn't hang around in order to see him being fully reunited with his wife. But I suppose on the other hand, there was no manipulative, tragic conclusion, nothing too overblown, but nothing too substantial either. The other disappointing aspect that really highlighted another flaw of the show is that we didn't really get any conclusive arcs of the other supporting characters. When we look at Mol, who they did conclude will serve some sort of imprisonment, but later on when Michael has a meeting with Kovic, he does state that she could be useful for future missions, so maybe she'll show up in some other Star Trek spin-off. But I think overall she was such a weak character, and the whole love romance between her and Lark really overstayed its welcome. That's something that should have been ended after 2 episodes, but ended up being maintained throughout the whole entire story arc. And again, wasn't very interesting, and she was just very weak as an overall character. We see Tilly announcing that she will become a permanent member of a mentor for the Starfleet Academy, but again, no real reference to Stannis or Colbert or any of the other crew. We then see Michael and Book eventually announcing their love together as they head forward for another mission. And then we jump forward in time where we see Michael when she's older living with Book in a house together. They're all happily married. We have confirmation that she has been now ascended to the rank of Admiral. And then we discover that they have a son who is captain, and I'm sorry to say he looked way too young to be assigned to that rank. Had they just assigned him as a new member of Starfleet, that would have been far more believable, but he barely looks like he joined Starfleet, let alone be mature enough to captain a ship. But again, at this stage, it didn't really have too much relevance. We see them approaching the Starfleet bases, where they see the construction of the Discovery, which I believe was the old design from the earlier series. Again, this was an attempt to try and tap into some emotional, nostalgic moments, but again, the show itself just hasn't really had that same impact or lastability as previous Trek shows. So all of these references and scenes, okay, they were very nicely handled, but they didn't really have any lasting impact. Neither did the moment where we see Michael approaching the Discovery Bridge and just having a moment on her own to reflect on the memories, as we see her having this flashback moment when all of the Discovery crew are together. Again, nothing like the same impact as what we saw with the Deep Space Nine finale, All That You Leave Behind, where we had those very emotional, attaching flashbacks of all the crew and their previous moments. And again, that's because that show did far better in establishing its characters and making them have far more depth with their motivations and their personalities. So when we came to the overall conclusion, it carried far more heart and far more weight. And again, as a montagey sequence, it was fine, but because we haven't really attached ourselves fully to these characters, it just felt a bit weightless and almost a bit obligatory that we had to have some sort of reference with the crew together as we head towards this final conclusion. Again, nothing particularly wrong, but again, nothing truly memorable or lasting. And then we see Michael make a final announcement to the ship's computer to fly once more as it enters into overall space. So overall, as a finale, not completely terrible, but nothing truly substantial. And I think maybe that sums up Discovery as a series overall. Now, I will shortly compile together a much more overview of the entire series of Star Trek Discovery, where it went right, where it went wrong, and did it really engage fully the fandom of today in terms of modern day Star Trek. So look out for that video very shortly within the channel. But overall, as a finale, again, nothing bad, nothing special, just really obligatory and a bit indifferent, I would say, overall in terms of the show itself as an entire Star Trek television series. So there's my overall thoughts and quick review of the series finale of Star Trek Discovery. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any other movies, television series, or any other issues within the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover, then also let me know within the comments, and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please don't hit like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.